Hello and welcome to my video on square numbers. And you may have wondered why they're called square numbers, and the reason is quite simply that you can form them into squares. So for example, if I give you 3 rocks and I ask you form those rocks into a square, now it's quite difficult. In fact, it's impossible. So I'll move these 3 over here. And where's the third one going to go? That doesn't form a square. A line is not a square. Now, what we know is a square has equal length size. So that could be 1 and 1 or 2 and 2. But in any case with a square, the one thing we know, it's not a rectangle like this where one side is much longer. A square is defined by the fact that the sides are equal. So let's call it with this square 2 and 2. So 2 multiplied by 2, if we were trying to get the area of that square, would be 4. Now that's interesting. Let's try and form a square if I gave you 4 rocks. So I threw you 4 rocks and said, try and make these form a square. And then you're going to say, well, that's interesting. If I put 2 along the top here, so 2 rows, and then 2 columns, hang on, that does look like a square. That's interesting. I wonder why 4 formed a square but 3 couldn't form a square. And the reason is because this square is made up, as we saw with a real square, of 2 times 2. So it's the same number multiplied by itself, and that was able to form a square. When we had 3, that wasn't a whole number multiplied by itself, so it couldn't form a square. And the way we write this, when we find a number which forms a square, is that number with a small 2 above it. That means squared. Now, if 2 times 2 can make a square, let's try and guess maybe 3 times 3 can make a square. Let's see if that works. So 3 times 3, as we know from multiplication, is 9. So we're going to test it out. Here's 9 rocks, just jumbled up and found on a beach maybe. So we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now the mission is to make it a square. So to do that, we're going to have 3, just like with a real square, we're going to have equal length sides. So 3 along the top, 3 along the sides, and we find out number 7, number 8, and finally number 9, that it does in fact form a perfect nice looking square. And that is because this is 3, in fact I'll draw it on the top just to make it even clearer, 3, then along the side 3, it is the area 3 times 3, which equals 9. So 9 is a square number, because with 9 rocks, you can form a perfect square. So we would write 9 squared. So now we know what a square number is, which is a number that you can form a perfect square with equal length sides. We can find out a few by testing out. Well, if 2 times 2 is a square, which is 4, and 3 times 3 is a square, which is 9, let's do a little list. How about 1 times 1? Well, that equals 1, which is a square. Okay, how about 2 times 2? Is that a square? Indeed it is. It's 4, which is a square number. Let's try some more. 3 times 3, we've already found out that's a square, which is 9. So 9 is a square number. 4 times 4, that you may know is 16. So 16 is a square number. And then just one more, 5 times 5. Again, always it's the same number multiplied by itself. So 10 times 10, a million times a million, the same number. The reason, because you need equal length sides to form a square, and that will equal 25. So 25 is another square number.